More great reporting from the site The Conservative Treehouse today, laying out why the deep state needed Wikileaks founder Julian Assange arrested so they could continue to carry out their plot to overthrow the President of the United States, the so-called collusion investigation. 3 years ago, in August 2017, according to the reporting of The Hill as well, Assange was interviewed by U.S. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. Assange told the congressman that he could prove the leaked Democratic Party documents did not come from Russia. Months later, in March 2018, Assange's grand jury indictment was sealed until April of 2019, soon after Robert Mueller released his special counsel report. Mueller's report was dependent on Russia's cybercrimes narrative, as was Obama's anti-Russia narrative following the 2016 election, as was the intelligence community assessment of 2017. The only so-called evidence of Russia hacking the DNC servers ever existed originated with CrowdStrike, a DNC contractor, a claim Assange said he can prove did not exist, thus behooving the deep state to coordinate with UK authorities to arrest and silence Assange. That is the theory. If there is an effort to shut down Assange, one could only hope John Durham is investigating it and could make his interview with former CIA Director John Brennan all the more interesting. Joining us tonight is Just the News Editor-in-Chief John Solomon, author of Fallout, Nuclear Bribes, Russian Spies, and the Washington Lies that Enriched the Clinton and Biden Dynasties. We highly recommend the book to you, available in bookstores everywhere, and chief among them, of course, Amazon.com. John, great to have you with us. I want your reaction first
Good to be with you, Lou.
Assange, because it's great to have you. It is really, it tests the bounds of credulity to go with some of the explanations we've heard for why Assange has been locked up and the key thrown away and kept from prying eyes and microphones for all this time. Your thoughts about that reporting and Assange and his role?
Well, listen, last year I put into the public scores of pages of documents showing that the Justice Department, a guy named David Loffman, negotiated with one of Assange's lawyers named Adam Waldman, and Assange had agreed and was willing to take a deal where he would cooperate with authorities. And this would do two things. He would answer questions about the leak of the Russia documents, and he would agree not to release certain information or redact certain information on some CIA cyber weapons that he ultimately released unredacted. It was an enormous missed opportunity, and the person who killed it, get ready, James Comey, the FBI director. The documents show he killed the deal. And so we missed an opportunity back in 2017 at the beginning of the Trump administration to get the truth from Assange and possibly to temper the release of some documents that caused grave national security harm to the United States.
And so and the president, you can see him wrestling with this, because Assange has been painted in the darkest of colors as an evil and bad guy. But as with most absolutes, this one has some frayed edges and considerable gray around it. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, the FBI and the intelligence community deal with bad guys all the time. If we need information, if we want the truth, he's the sort of guy that we could go to and cut a deal and at least get some truth. Maybe maybe there's a plea deal to be had. Maybe there's an immunity deal to be had. So far, there hasn't been the will of the intelligence community, the FBI, the Justice Department to deal. They hate them. They publicly call him an enemy of the state. But in this case, the American people may benefit from finding an answer to what really happened to the documents that WikiLeaks posted in 2016. Where did they get them? He knows. We should get that answer.
Yes, well, he's not accused of capital crimes, and the fact of the matter is that the British confined him for so long without any possibility of extrication. He has been shut down. He has been, for all practical purposes, a disappeared person to the American public. That is not an accident. It is not the way we conduct business in this country, or at least it once was not the way we conducted business. How do we make it right? And is President Trump the only one who can?
Yeah, listen, the president, the FBI director, Chris Wray, the attorney general, Bill Barr, can go back and reinvigorate those conversations from the March of 2017, where we came very close to getting a deal with Julian Assange. If James Comey didn't get in the way of that, we would have probably gotten answers back then. David Loffman, the Justice Department attorney, clearly showed interest in trying to get him interviewed and get information from him. It was a major loss for the U.S. when those conversations broke down, thanks to James Comey.
And Assange, in that 3-year period, his health has deteriorated, we understand, significantly, and at various points has been even described as life-threatening. This does not seem to be a concern for the FBI and some intelligence agencies, which should make it, I think, based on what we now know about the way those agencies have been led, a concern for all Americans who want the truth. Would you recommend the president pardon him?
Well, listen, I'm a reporter. I try to stick to facts and not opinion or recommendations, but there are a lot of people who believe he should be pardoned, a lot of people who believe he should be prosecuted. I don't always agree with everything that Julian Assange did. Sometimes choosing which documents to release instead of releasing them all brings benefit to the country, but he brought a lot of disclosures of things that we didn't know, and he was an inconvenient truth during the beginning of the Russia investigation. Imagine if he emerged and gave us his story in March 2017, what might have happened to the Russia collusion story.
And now, Edward Snowden is seeking a fair trial as his only condition precedent to surrendering himself. I'm going to ask you again for your opinion, but of course based on facts.
Yeah, listen, Edward Snowden compromised national security by a large degree, and there are Democrats and Republicans alike that agree on that. The question is, if you're going to pardon him or if you're going to give him a deal or give him a fair trial, what does the United States get in return for that? And I don't know if Snowden's put anything on the table that would make the U.S. government want to deal with him right now. He's hiding in was hiding in Vladimir Putin's clutches. He's not a man that is right now considered a friend of the United States. And so I think you have to look carefully at that. The political repercussions of a pardon could be significant. But the president may know things I don't know. He probably does. But there's a split opinion on, as the president acknowledged, on Edward Snowden. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't ask you just easy questions ever, John, because with your mind and talent, I want to put only tough questions before you.
Thank you.
John Solomon, thanks for providing those terrific answers. Always insightful to have you with us.